like to welcome you to my very short exhortation tonight. And the topic is, remind me of the topic, please.
If we have two of them.
The first one being a hireling.
Be a good worker, not a hireling.
Be a good worker, not a
hireling.
hireling.
Yes.
All right. I think some of my predecessors have already let you know what a hireling is and what a good worker is. So I'm going to speak about what it means to me and not just the dictionary definition. Everybody knows the story of the walls of Jericho.
Yes.
And, you know, they marched around the wall, they were dedicated, and the walls fell. You know, they blew the trumpets and everything, they brought down the walls of the city. Now, if you think about Wall City, that's, you know, a great feat to pull off. Just if you said put up a wall around Bastia, that can take ages to do it, that can be a lot of work, you know, there's a lot going into it. And money for infrastructure, and so just getting everybody to agree is very hard. So, when they're building a wall, then get up and say, okay, let me get a bunch of job work people, a bunch of hirelings to do this. No, you want workers who are dedicated to doing the wall, which is what the person I want to speak about tonight is Nehemiah. He was a cupbearer for the king. And because of the previous definitions, some might say, okay, that's a hireling because it's a menial job. He just, you know, hold the king cup and sipping he drinks for him. But back in those times, and still now when you have royalty and prestige people and stuff, those are some of their most trusted advisors because they're drinking the king's drink to test it for poison. So like you need to know that you trust this person next to you who is the screener for things going into your body. It's like you ruling this whole country, you need somebody dedicated right next to you. And he was diligent, he was dedicated, the king was alive. And to have a seemingly simple job like that, but to display those qualities on that small job is something I think that we see time and time and again in the Bible. Whereas like the parable of the talents is like, let me see what you do with this little, and then I could give you more and multiply that because you've shown like good diligence with the little bits. You know, you just bring on somebody, if you're an employer, you're not gonna put them in charge of everything one time. You give them a probation period. You say, hey, okay, let me see what I can do with this. You see how they operate on the job, how they deal with people, and then you put them in the permanent position. Same thing, you got children. You see how they do with certain things and know what the temperament like allows them to take care of. Then you put them in charge of those things, or you train them up to do other things. And so you have this cupbearer, a diligent man next to the king all the time. And so, you know, they're in this walled city, and the walls come down. Who was appointed to rebuild the wall? Same guy. He moved from a seemingly menial job and was put to work. And he was able to gather people, and I think in less than 2 months, it was like 52 days, they were able to rebuild the walls, which again, is hard to get those walls up in the first place. And he had to be not only diligent, but a good leader of men to be able to gather so many people to work to rebuild the walls. And it just goes to show that like you being a good worker or a hireling just depends on your attitude. It doesn't even depend on the job you're doing. Because it could be tasked to deal with small things like, hey, tend to these sheep. And you know, somebody come to rob the sheep and you just run away. It's like, oh no, may want nothing to do with that. Or you stay like the shepherd and defend the sheep. And so it doesn't really, like the job doesn't really matter, it's the attitude you show up to the job with. And I think Nehemiah is a good example of that in terms of having a seemingly small job and then showing up and being put over a greater task thereafter. And yeah, so that's my encouragement to us tonight is no matter what you have or what dominion you put over, be sure to do well and be diligent with the things that you have because you never know opportunities lie after. Thank you.